Welcome to Now TV. Going to pick up where I left off yesterday. The section's part called Jesse in the Smallville movie, the ReUnion, a special Johnathan Kent years. It's a whopper. It's definitely something I'm proud of. This rough draft copy is page 38 for those of you that are going to get to read the early bird material and help me promote, present, and talk about favorite sections and get to read and record and have some fun with me interacting. The new virtual world opens the doors to so much for us. Rock on, right? So we can all be a little bit Superwoman and Superman instead of just always wishing it could be us. And for 15 minutes when you're doing the part in the script, you are, right? And so nothing better than real time, like those storybooks with different endings, where you choose the ending you want and then you can read back and change the ending again. That's the power we have with the virtual world today with script writing, right? And so I think people that are fans of superhero stuff will enjoy, fans of the TV show, fans of when Tom was the best Clark Kent possible for TV world. So we'll see what happens with who's going to be Clark now. It might not be him, right? Everything is up in the air. It's all anyone's guess on what's going to happen with this movie, right? Because anything is possible. What if one of you outdo him in one of your recordings? What if you become the new Kal-El from Krypton, right? You just don't know. These are kind of like casting calls. It's kind of like little auditions and stuff, right? So, without further ado, I'm going to go on to talk about somebody nobody knows except Johnathan, aka the title of this segment, Jesse. Jesse Wright, Waright, by the way. An oh-so-fitting name, Johnathan always thought, then and still does now, for a little girl who was always right, which was one of the very things that young Master Kent, as he was known back then, did indeed always love about her. He could ask her anything and talk with her about anything, and if there was anything he ever needed to know or learn, he knew he could go to her and she would tell him like it is, almost always. Without the internet on hand to research all the answers between visits, he did always wonder how she was ready and prepared for him at his next visit with the answers or more information about the things they talked about the time before. It always amazed him how she always was ready for him on the next visit from where they left off in the previous visit in their conversation. He later learned that one of Jessie's favorite things to do was read through her set of encyclopedias. Her body might have been betraying her, but her mind was her best friend and her greatest tool and asset. Her mind worked well, beyond the normal range and intelligence of 10-year-old girls of her day and age. So, she liked to make a game out of her time with her boyfriend Johnathan, young Master Kent, as he was also known, and their visits together, and always keep his questions coming and keep his mind sharp too, by keeping him on his toes and constantly learning new stuff. Now that's a good girlfriend. To keep your boyfriend's brain working, moving forward, learning, keep him on her toes, keep him excited. Never boring. She had good reason for this, wanting to instill the best of times the two of them had together, at the worst of times for the two of them to know each other. And he shook his head standing there on this day, looking down at her headstone for the first time in too long, and said, "It worked. What you instilled in me, Jessie, when we were both children, stayed with me, and it became a lifelong pursuit of knowledge. This led me to a different country, and a different education and a different life, and a wonderful wife who was educated in law from a family of lawyers, and a wonderful son living on a large farm in the state of Kansas in a small town called Smallville. I'm sorry you never got to see America or take a first-class airplane ride anywhere, and I'm really sorry, Jesse, that I've stayed away this long. I didn't mean to, but things change when one grows up. The older you get, the more responsibilities you get, and when you marry and have children to raise of your own and a large farm like the one I bought to run, your priorities change. Things become harder to do, like maintaining and holding on to the obligation of coming to England once a year to visit you. I just figured that some part of you would understand and care and be okay that I grew up to get married and become a father, and that a promise I made as a young boy to a young girl all those years ago was one that I really couldn't keep or be expected to. Life gets in the way, and I had to find a way to live mine so that your death didn't kill us both completely. But I'm here now, Jesse. I got your message from the news. They've been playing all over the world about the cancer epidemic and the fight we are losing as a world. So what is it that you wanted to tell me, Jesse? What was the urgent news? I'm going to sit right here all day with you. I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait for your answer. And that's when Johnathan laid a big, beautiful bouquet of red roses on the grass that grew over where her coffin was buried, as he read the headstone. Jesse Wright, born September 13th, 1954, died December 30th, 1964. A wonderful little person, great daughter and sister and grandchild who will never be forgotten, and the best first girlfriend one young boy was ever so lucky to have. Let your spirit soar amongst all of us until the day you're resurrected to live in paradise forever, free of sickness and disease. We will all love you forever and ever. Amen. From your Wright family and the Kent family, too. Because his parents had more money, they bought the headstone that was big enough to be able to write everything that everybody wanted to say, wanted people to be able to read about Jesse. Whoa, goosebumps. My heart literally hurt. And I didn't get to meet the one that inspired the character, the one whose family I promised her story would be in here. Whoa. But I'm guessing I'm pretty close. And then Johnathan, keeping good on his word, pulled out a comfortable folding chair, preparing to settle in for a long day of filling Jesse in on all the things that have taken place in his life since he was last there to visit her. That was a whole heap of stuff. He knew he would be talking for hours, so he knew to be sure to come prepared for comfort, food and drink, etc. And this time he had his wonderful magical new touchscreen cell phone, so he could take pictures and make videos that he could actually return to Smallville with and share with his wife Martha and their son Clark. And that's when it hit him on the head like an anvil. That's when he knew he had found the answer. Well, at least part of it. Technology. Jessie wanted him to be able to share her life and their times together in a way he could share it with them, since he never once found it in himself to bring them here with him. Some part of Johnathan and that young master just never found a way to get over the life and time separate from what he built with Martha and Clark that allowed him to find a way to let them into this part of his world, his life, past, and his childhood. There was just part of him that didn't want to open that up to others. There was the side of him that just wanted to keep his life and times with Jesse Wright and his childhood as that rich little boy born to a successful businessman and well-to-do family with any part of his current life. He worked so hard to build this nice new life and change the verdict, the outcome of who his father and uncles and grandparents were all so certain he'd grow up to be, that he'd follow in the family's business blueprint, business side of the Kent family legacy. He worked so hard to get an education to take him as far away from all that staunchy, rich British privilege and traveled so far away to get there, to that new place, a new life, a new person he chose to become instead of what his family wanted, to which he knew he owed that wonderful new life he did find and build for himself a big fat thank you to Jesse coming into his life and being a part of it as long as she did, as has. So this change in his life, she thinks part of it is owed to her. And of course, his time with Jesse was just that. It was his time with Jesse. That young Master Kent finding a most wonderful girl to love and make his first girlfriend, and the wonderful person and better man her life and influence and intelligence helped create him to become. Well, he just didn't want to share it. He didn't want to let anyone into that place or time of his life, and he also thought he couldn't bear the pain of it, having to talk about things and let others try and care about him and understand him in those times, which if he were not there, he also told himself and rationalized it, if they were not there, they could never really be able to do so, to understand. Can't put yourself in another person's shoes in circumstances like this. That's what he thought. So he always found ways to excuse himself out of having to tell Martha and Clark everything about his life. He just found he liked it better if he could just keep some part of this part of his life separate away from and not part of his life with them. Boy, watch out, Clark, eh? What's coming? But he does understand that he can put himself in Martha's shoes and Clark's shoes and realize how they would be disappointed and hurt by him and his actions and the times and places and parts of his life they would like to be accepted into and be a part of. He doesn't know that if and when they both do come to terms with all of what he's kept silent about, how they will feel and react, and he's sorry that he couldn't do anything about it. Sorry that he couldn't find a way. He couldn't change that about himself. Couldn't figure out a way on how to share all parts of his life and times and the people and memories and events in those times with both Martha and Clark. And so he just hoped that one day they may find it in their hearts, find it in their own time and way to forgive him for his shortcomings and just look to the good things and the good times and the good love he did give them in all the rest of his life and things that they did take part in and share in together. He spent all these years still plagued by the one thing, or one question about his life, and that was what his life would be like today if Jessie had lived, had fought the cancer she had and won and beat it. Where would their lives be together today? Would he have stayed in England or would he have taken Jessie with him to America, where he went to school? Would he have married her? Would they have had children? And I guess that was it, really, the biggest reason he could never share her or that time of his life with anyone else, because of his being so convinced he would have never fallen in love and married Martha and become the adopted father of Superman. So he always thought, because of all those unanswered questions, all those what ifs, that he had to respect those two different times and places of his life and the different persons he was in both by keeping them separate from one another, understanding that one life would have indeed changed and altered the outcome of the other. So now there he sat for the long day ahead of talking with Jessie when it hit him like an anvil on his head, and he reached into his pocket and pulled out his brand new touchscreen cell phone and looked at it, realizing he found the answer. Well, at least one of the answers as to why he was there right now. What Jessie was saying he can do now, for all the time he spent away and the technology that's changed since his last visit. He could this time take pictures and make videos of his visit and time with Jessie and take it home and share that with Martha and Clark and hope this would create an acceptable peace between them all. So I'm going to sign off there. That was a long enough read. It's longer than I usually do, but it's good. I got it marked. And we're going next. He's still visiting Jessie at the graveyard. Thanks for watching Now TV and the Smallville movie, the ReUnion. Johnathan can't use a portion of the movie that I'm sharing with all of you on YouTube. Bye for now. Keep coming back. Subscribe. Tell everybody else. Contact me at the smallvillemovie@gmail.com or superwomanexists@mail.com to say that you're willing to read and record and share your favorite parts and showcase some of your talent if you think you've got what it takes to narrate or just do audible recording. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching. Keep coming back. Superwoman signing out.